Well, just very brief back to last weekend. Does it take its toll as a team when you? I'm sure there's a lot of players who put in a few extra metres than they would do normally.
I think, well, obviously, yeah. I think obviously we played a lot of the game with 10 men, and then going down to 9 for the last 5. It was difficult, obviously, coming on in that game as well. Very different to what we're used to, I guess. But yeah, we're fortunate in a way that the game's Sunday. It gives us a bit more time to recover. And we've done that this week. We've trained hard, but had our recovery as well in there. So look, it took its toll after the game, but only for a couple of days. I think we're all ready to go again now.
And when you get a result like that, in a situation like that, everybody wants to play flowing football and score 3 or 4 and win the match. But can you as a team take a lot out of the way that you showed the resilience you did?
Yeah, definitely. I think we could have won it and all. I think we had a good chance. Obviously, Georgia had a good chance in the second half, but we didn't feel. We said after the game we didn't feel like we were conceding too many chances. Obviously, we were on the back foot in terms of how many players we had on the pitch and trying to get hold of the ball, but the way we dealt with it was very good. And really, we conceded a sloppy goal, which shouldn't have gone in. So, and we score a good set piece that we worked on throughout the whole of last week. So, no, I think we can be proud of what we did. And you're going into the game, and like with every game, you're going into it wanting 3 points, but you come away from it at the end thinking that could be a good point come the end of the season.
So, which brings us nicely to the set piece. I want to talk about it was obviously worked on throughout the week. In the match situation, as soon as you get the foul there, do you all know what you're doing, or do you have to sort of go together and say, right, should we try that?
I think the area that the free kick was, we'd worked on it, and we'd worked on it both sides as well. So whether it would have been a left footer coming onto the shot if the free kick was on the other side, and I think Knighty just come across to me and said, "Birdie, do it." And yeah, it was fairly straightforward. We knew how they'd set up. Pat had told us in the week how they were going to set up, and it was exactly like that. So it gave me a lot of confidence knowing that it could come off, and obviously it's a great finish from Sykesy, and we need to score more goals from set pieces, I think, and that's on myself with delivery, Twiney, and then people going to attack the ball as well. But that was something that we had up our sleeve, and I think it was fortunate that we got it in the game, but took the chance as well.
Yeah. Because realistically, a lot of work, it's not like you're just working on set pieces, but a lot of effort does go into trying to defend them and score them, and that's got to feel pretty pleasing when you put so much work in as a team and it pays off that way.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that, like I just said, we need to implement into our game, especially when we play tight games and it's 0-0 or we're drawing at that stage of the game and we have chances like we did at the weekend to score from. We do work on them. We do spend a lot of time on them, whether that's today, day before a game. So we do work on them, and I think we need to take a bit more care in what we do with them, because I think we've got some good threats that can score goals from them.
Yeah. Because in terms of the way the team's been playing recently, defensively you're looking really pretty solid. There's not been many teams that have managed to cut through you, and just those extra goals or two can be the difference between where you are and where you want to be. Yeah,
for sure. I think, like you say, we've been pretty solid in the last couple of games, and I think we knew that in pre-season that we had a solid defence, and we build from that. And we probably didn't start the season off too well. We probably conceded too many goals, but we're at a stage now where we feel solid as a team. And look, that's not just the back line, that's not just the midfielders. It comes from the front. We work on it through the week, defending from the front. So it's important that we defend as a team. And I think we've got a good balance at the minute, going forward, defending well. We just need to be a bit more ruthless in front of goal maybe, and I think we're in a good position. We want to get to where we want to get to. Everyone knows where we want to get to come the end of the season, so I think it's important that we have both boxes ticked, if you want to say, and we keep working on them as well.
So, as you say, you're right on the fringes of it at the moment. You've got a couple of home games and then Cardiff at the following weekend. There's a real opportunity over the next week or so to put yourself not just on the fringes of it, right in the thick of that playoff race.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I just said, everyone knows where we want to get to. We want to be in that playoffs. There's lots of teams going for it. We've got some big games coming up. But like I've said in previous interviews with yourself, is that we take each game as it comes. We focus on Swansea on Sunday, and we're not really bothered about anything else. We don't really look too much at the table, because you can see it this season with teams that have just won a couple of games like that, and then all of a sudden you're in and around it, and it's the same if you lose a couple. So we've got to stay level-headed and realise where we are in the table and have that ambition, but we take each game as it comes and keep practicing what we need to do on the training pitch, and then like I say, we just try and win every game.
So the next opportunity to do that is Swansea this weekend. You know exactly how they're going to play. They're not in the greatest of form at the moment, though.
Doesn't matter. I think this league is so unpredictable, and anyone can beat anyone, really, in my opinion, and you've seen that throughout the season. Yes, they're not in the greatest of forms, but it doesn't matter. They could turn up and be unbelievable on Sunday, and we have to match that. So we can only control the controllables. I think we control ourselves, and yes, we do a bit of work on them and how they play, but ultimately it's about us. If we're at our best, I'm a believer, in lots of the players and staff definitely are, that we can beat anybody on our day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Max, your partnership with Jason in particular, obviously you work together at Derby, play together. Yeah. Do you think you bring the best out of each other as a midfield duo?
Yeah, I think so. I think, obviously I know him really well. He knows me really well. I think there's times where, we might not be having the best of games. We pull each other through it. There's times where, I'd probably know what he's going to do with the ball or without the ball than other players on the team. Obviously, I played with him for years, and he's brilliant to play with. I love playing with him. And it is a relationship that it can get better as well. But yeah, I just do my job, he does his. I think that's for you guys to say whether we bring the best out of each other.
What's the dynamic like with him as captain? Obviously, because he's someone you've grown up playing football with, I assume. Is it different when you come to a club and he's captain? Is there a change in the way he is in the dressing room at all?
Not really, no, because he's always been a strong leader. It was no surprise to me when he was named captain at the start of the season, because I've grown up with him. He's always been a leader. He's been captain in youth teams. He was captain at Derby for a bit. So I know his qualities and attributes that he brings as a leader. And the lads look up to him as well. So I think that was no surprise to me to see him being captain. He's been fantastic so far this season with his performances and his ability to speak in meetings and to maybe dig people out when we need digging out as a team, and to maybe settle us down when things go a bit chaotic and stuff like that. He's picked his moments really well.
From your point of view, you've obviously played as a number 10 earlier in the season. You've dropped a bit deeper now. Do you have a preference at all, or is there parts of each position you prefer more?
I don't really know. I get asked this question a lot. I think, obviously, I've grown up playing as a 6 and an 8. Played a bit as a 10 last season. And look, I want to be able to play all three of them positions very well. So then, wherever I'm put in the team, I can play my best in that position. I think there's been games where I've been good in the 10 and not so good, and then there's been games where I've been good in the 6 and not so good in the 6. It's just how it's been, and I think, to me, there's not really a preference, because each position requires something different. As a 6, you can get on the ball, control the tempo. You're in more duels, out of possession stuff, maybe a little bit more. And you can see the pictures a bit better. Obviously, 10, you play with your back to goal. You've got to be quick. Decision making's got to be good, and you've got to be energetic with your pressing. So there's loads of different things. I'm just trying to learn little small marginal gains, small details where I can get better in them positions. The manager helps me with that, the staff help me, and just play in that position a bit more this season, especially at the start, has helped me learn it.
Is that something you continue to do now, even though you've been playing as a 6? Do you still work on the parts of your game that have come out more as a 10?
Yeah, I think I need to score more goals. whether I play 6 or 10. But there's, I find myself in positions in training where I'll be on the top line in the 10 position. I might have rotated with Twiney, for example, or I've ended up drifting into a pocket and in a 10 position. So I find myself in them positions, and it's how quickly you can change from, because it requires, like I just said, it requires different skills. How quickly you can change from being in that 6 role to a 10 role. Like I say, it's something that I want to get better at. Like you just said, is it something that I keep looking at? Of course, I want to get better as a footballer. So if I'm, learning different parts of my game, I'm getting better as a footballer and in general. Like I say, more goals. Keep racking up the assists when I can, and numbers is a big part of the game now. So I think that's important for me.
Liam mentioned when he was in here just before about working with you to try to score more goals. Is it a case of just having that bit more confidence sometimes? He said how he feels you get into some positions and don't necessarily pull the trigger. Is that Is it confidence, or what do you think it is?
Probably. I think obviously I've scored 1 this season, and I've scored a couple last season, more than I have in previous seasons. It might be a confidence thing, getting in the positions, and I think it's a bit of that, and I think it's the technique in striking the ball and not being too precise. Sometimes I think I'm too precise and I'll miss the target by a couple of inches, or I just drag the ball wide like I did at Preston before my goal. So it's things like that, not being too precise, not being too, you don't have to score the perfect goal. I think sometimes I think like that when I'm about to shoot. So like I say, you've seen goals this season, deflections, stuff like that. So he's right, I think. I need to be more confident in my shooting, like I am with in other parts of my game, because it is something that I need to get better at, and something that I could add to my game. And I think if I do start adding that, it just adds another skill in the book.
One place you've seemed really confident, particularly over Christmas, there was a couple of those passes where it's just a through ball that cuts through everyone. I'm thinking Plymouth in particular. I think one of the other games over Christmas. Is that something, just a connection you have with Naki that you know? Yeah. Because it looks just rehearsed, It's so simple.
Naki's a clever footballer, and for me, I said it in previous interviews, football's all about relationships. So Anis does it well, Twiney does it well, Naki does it well. Obviously I play with Nighty quite a lot. Pringy, when he plays, he knows that as soon as I turn on my left foot and I look up, he can just run, and that's what I'm finding a lot of the minute, is building that relationships, and they're getting stronger. So lads are knowing that when I turn and get my head up, or I'm in a bit of space and I've got a couple seconds time on the ball, I'm gonna play that pass. And for me, I might give the ball away more than I should, or I take a couple more risks than other players, because I think if I can see it, then why not? So I think it's massively on the lads, not on myself. I always say to the lads, you make the run, and that's on me to find you then. And there'll be times where I don't, there'll be times where I do. But as long as they make that run and the connection's there, I know that then it's on me to produce that quality.
Liam's mentioned a lot playing with that freedom, and it does seem, especially when you're on the ball, there seems to be that willingness for players to attack and gamble. Is that something he's happy for you to do, from a manager's point of view? Does he not? Would he rather you try the difficult pass than play
so.
2 yards?
I hope so. He says, look, if you're gonna give the ball away, do it in trying to do something, and that's something that sticks with me. I've had a manager in the past who said something very similar, and if I can see these pictures and the lads know I can see them, then it's a big boost for the team. Like I say, there's players who do it naturally, but it's building them relationships. When I get time on the ball to look up, or if they know I'm going to play a first-time pass, for example, it's all relationships. It's movement, it's timing. But no, I'm willing to take that risk, and if I give the ball away, at least I'm giving it away in a position of the pitch where we can counter press or get the ball back, and if I can thread balls through, play balls over the top, hit diags, whatever it is to help the team, and the lads react to it, then it's only going to put us in a good position.
Obviously you had success with Derby last year. I just wondered how the feeling around the club kind of compares, because obviously a few points away from the playoff race, but you are really in contention. Is there a similar sort of buzz around the group?
Well, we're hungry. It's a hungry group, very similar to Derby last season. We're in a position where, you know, a bit higher in the table, but still motivated and focused on the task ahead. We're not getting carried away, and I think that's important. You know, like you say, we're in a really good position, and you know, we're sort of just floating in and around it at the minute, and we're happy with that. I think obviously we want to get as many wins as we can and push ourselves up the table as far as we can, but we're in a good position. We don't really look too much at the table. We take each game as it comes. We know that the league can change like that. It's going to look a lot different in a month's time, for example, 6 weeks. We just need to win our games. We need to win our big games. Every game's a big game now. Every game's a big game.
I know you say you don't look at the table. We spoke to Joe after the last home game, and he basically said he didn't want there to be any fear around it. The players should be relishing that chance of wanting to get in the playoffs. Is it something you talk about at all as a group, really, or not?
Not too much. I think because everyone knows. We sit in here and have a meeting, and everyone knows, right, we've got one target that we want to go for. And it's, if we get in the playoffs, it's not, okay, we've got in the playoffs. It's like, right, let's win the playoffs. Let's go to where we want to get to. That's the aim. We want to get to the Premier League. And you can sense it in and around the training ground at the stadium. There's that little feeling, that little buzz that we can do it. You know, the lads are hungry for it, like I said. And so are the staff. They keep getting on to us about, you know, standards and quality, and that's on us to keep that standard in training, for example, as high as it can be. And like I said a couple of questions before, if we are at our best, we can beat anybody personally. And you know, look, we're not going to be at our best every game, but we can be as close to it as we can try. Yeah.
Just finally, for me, obviously it's a year since the deal was announced, and you've not been here the whole time. But just how are you settling into Bristol and the club in general? How are you finding it? Yeah,
loving it. You know, I've learnt a lot in my short time here so far, and you know, the big factor for me was that the club were desperate to get me in, and you know, that made my decision very easy when I come here. But you know, I settled in really well. You know, lads are great, staff are great. You know, the facilities, of course, are amazing as well. I'm just trying to improve as a player, improve the team. You know, that's what I was brought in to do: improve the team and make us play, you know, football that we want to play. So, no, like I say, loving it. Yeah.